You have questions, we have answers. I'm Shawn from Lamplight Media, and in this video, I'm going off script to answer some of the most frequently asked questions we get about video production. Video production is a very complicated thing with many moving parts. And to learn a little bit more about them parts, check out the series I did on the production process here or here, wherever the links will fit. Now, as I was saying, video production can be complicated, and over the years I've been asked a lot of questions, and today I'm going to be giving a lot of answers. I'll try and do this lightning round style, and we'll have timestamps for the questions below, so you can skip ahead to the ones you are really interested in. Alrighty then, buckle up because here we go. Question number 1. How much will it cost? Now this is the most commonly asked question for obvious reasons, and I'm gonna give you the most common answer. It depends. I know you just want a simple answer, but the answer is never really that simple. So one piece of advice I can give you when you're asking your video production company this question or getting quotes from different companies is that the responsibility for gathering enough information to give you an accurate quote lies on them. You should feel like they're asking you too many questions because it shows that they're considering all these different factors that will really come into giving you an accurate quote, because the last thing you want is any surprises. Any surprise hidden costs, or any surprises on set, or any surprises when the video comes back to you after it's been edited. Because if your expectations are different from theirs, you don't, work out all these things in pre-production beforehand, you might just have wasted a whole bunch of money. But to actually try and answer your question, give you some ballpark figures. If you're working with an inexperienced, say like fresh out of uni grad kind of person who's just trying to get started in the industry, what should you expect to pay for a simple video? Around $500 to maybe $1,500. For someone more experienced doing the same job, you can expect somewhere between $2,000 to $4,000. And for a more complicated multi-day, multi-location production with a small size crew, you can expect something from $8,000 to $20,000. And of course, if you want like everything, big crew with multiple departments and many shoot days, many locations, you're making a documentary or something, you can expect to spend anywhere upwards of $20,000, $40,000, maybe even $100,000. So yeah, that's how much it will cost. Question, is the cost worth it? Are you worth it? Nah, seriously now. To quote the business legend Jim Rohn, you don't spend major time on minor things. Now I came across this little nugget of wisdom while surfing YouTube as you do, and coming across Chris Do, who is an award-winning designer, CEO and entrepreneur and founder of the channel The Future. So he's a designer who's asked this question a lot, and this is the quote he usually gives to answer that question. So what does this have to do with video production? Well, it's a question of value. You don't spend big money to solve small problems. You want to spend big money to solve big problems. You want the benefit of solving that problem to be worth the cost of the solution. Let me illustrate this with an example. So let's just say you have a shop in a small town with a promotion that weekend for only the people in that town. And they have an issue of people not knowing about this. That is the problem. That is, I think we can say, a small problem. So, are you going to then be hiring a big video crew to come in and shoot this massive ad that's gonna go nationwide to solve that problem? No. In that case, it probably makes a lot more sense for the owner of that local store to just pick up their phone and make a little message or print out some flyers, give it out, do a mailbox drop or something like that. That will make a lot more sense than hiring a big video crew, in which case the big video crew is not worth it. But let's just say for some reason that same shop in that small town is going to be visited by the King of England, who remembers that place fondly and is going to go there to break the world record for most number of hot dogs eaten in an hour. And on that day as well is a full solar eclipse, and Halley's Comet is going to pass by on that day. Is it worth it then to hire a video crew to come and capture that amazing historic moment? Yeah, perhaps it is, because this is something that you can be using for years and years. And that actually is another consideration. How long do you expect this video to last? If this video is gonna last you a couple of years, then yep, perhaps the cost of hiring a big crew now is worth it. But if the video is just gonna last you a weekend, then perhaps don't spend too much on it. So in conclusion, spend big money to solve big problems. Don't spend big money to solve small problems. It is a question of value. Why is the price so high? Video production is a highly collaborative affair. It involves many people with very niche and very specialized skills, which are also very rare. So that explains why, hiring a big crew tends to cost a lot. And on top of that, the equipment is not cheap either. It's actually very expensive. And you need a lot of equipment. If you've ever tried to do video production yourself, you'll realize that, okay, you got a camera, that's great. Now you gotta buy lenses. You got lenses, great. Now you need to buy lights. You got a light, great. Now you actually need a tripod to put the camera on, and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. But if you really sit down and do the math and think about it, how much would it cost to hire a dedicated person in your office to do video production for you? Are you gonna pay the salary? You still need to buy all the equipment, so that's still a lot of money. So if you count all those costs in, it might make more sense to just hire a video production company who will take care of hiring all the people you need. They already have all the equipment, and also they will guarantee that they can deliver a certain level of quality to you. And refer to my answer to the last question, is the cost worth it? Because a statement like, why is the price so high? Well, it might not be high if the problem you're trying to solve is large. So refer to that answer, and that's probably a better place to go. And now moving on to the next question. Why are we spending so much time on pre-production? Now this is a question I get asked a lot, because most people think that the production part is the cool part, right? Is that where the film and the video actually gets made, is when the cameras are rolling. But what we don't see is that a lot of work goes behind the scenes before the cameras even start rolling. In fact, I got asked this question so much, I've already made a video about it. You can check out that video over here. It's about a concept I call the production hourglass. And what that basically means is that you should be spending more time in pre-production, less time in production, and a lot of time in post-production. Because pre-production is where a lot of the key decisions get made. And these decisions, if you made a mistake, those decisions and that mistake, you'll continue to see the effects of that all throughout the rest of the process. And sometimes solving the problem later down the line, like in post-production, might mean that you have to reshoot that entire scene. So that's why you spend so much time in pre-production. Because pre-production is about making sure that all parties involved, you, the client, and the production company, have a very clear idea of vision, direction, where we're going, and have locked in all those details so that when it comes time for the cameras to start rolling, or when it comes to the edit, everybody knows what to do. So why you're spending so much time in pre-production is to make sure that everything goes smoothly and to make sure that you get exactly what you want. Question: how long will it take to complete the project? Answer: it depends. And it really does. But whatever it is, this should be decided in pre-production well before things get started. But to give you a ballpark, for a simple social media or a piece-to-camera video or an event video, you're looking at a turnaround time of 1 to 3 weeks. But if you're talking about a more complicated project with many moving parts, or just a very long project, you can be looking at a month, months, years. It depends. What is the scale of the project you're trying to complete? But if you need a really quick turnaround, like say a next day or even same day, like some wedding people do that, that's always an option. Talk to your video production company, make sure you agree on that, and just be aware that this could lead to an increased cost. Can you make me a viral video? Answer: maybe. I don't know. I can't guarantee what videos will go viral. I can't guarantee that the video I make for you will go viral. No one can. No one really knows what makes something go viral. It depends on so many factors. It depends on, I don't know, the current mood of people that day, whether it's rainy or sunny, what the algorithm decides to promote. No one really knows. And if anyone guarantees you that they can, I'd be very wary of that. The internet, like people, are fickle. Trends come and go. You can try and jump on trends, yes, sure. But usually by the time you jump on a trend, it's probably not going to be trending for very long. So yeah, jump on trends, milk them for what they're worth, but in my opinion at least, that's not really a content marketing strategy. what you should be focusing on is not the numbers, but focus on the people. I think that's what we always like to say at Lamplight Media, is that stay focused on your customers. Content marketing is about consistently putting out valuable content to your audience. Your audience. So you should know them well enough to know what they value, to know what they want more of, and make more of that. That is a far more viable strategy than chasing the next trend or trying to make something that explodes, but then, maybe if it's a one-off thing. So what I can suggest is forget about viral videos. I mean, if a video of yours goes viral, great, rejoice, happy, throw a party. But don't count on it. Instead, keep your sites focused on providing value for your customers, providing real, valuable content to them. Keep putting that out consistently, keep solving their problems, and that is a far more viable strategy for content marketing. Question: what do you expect/need from me, the client? And the answer is, it depends. You can be as hands-on and as hands-off as you want to be in the whole video production process. Regardless of how hands-on or hands-off you want to be, your video production company should take the responsibility of managing the entire process. Why? It's because they should know the entire process inside and out, and they will know what to consider that maybe some unknown unknowns to you that they can consider that you don't know. So responsibility is theirs. They need to manage the whole process. What they really need from you, what we really need from you, is a very clear indication of your goals, your audience, and what your expected outcomes are. One major thing that your production company does need from you is the content. Most production companies have script writers or people who can help with script writing. So might not need to actually write the script, but you can if you want. But they'll definitely need to know the content and the messaging from you. But at the end of the day, the video production company needs to oversee the entire process, and you need to hire a company you can trust to take care of it. Question: why can't we shoot wherever we want? Now, it's a common misconception that we can film anywhere we want, that public land is free game, and this is unfortunately not true. Big disclaimer here first, I am not a lawyer and this is not legal advice. Please consult a lawyer or check with your local laws and regulations if you are looking to shoot somewhere. Not legal advice. Now that's out of the way. Generally speaking, if you're shooting in public and you're not getting into people's faces or blocking the roads or anything like that, more often than not, you can shoot there. Although it's best practice to try and get a permit for it, especially if you're shooting in a park. And definitely if you're closing a road, you'll need to get permits, you need to get traffic control people, a whole bunch of things. So yep, check your regulations, definitely do that. Oh, one more thing, drones. There are many regulations on drones, where you can fly, how close to an airport, how close to tall buildings, or whether you can fly over people or not. Many regulations. So again, please check with your local laws and regulations. But if you want to shoot on private property, especially if you don't own the property, you need to secure a release from the property owner, which basically stands as they give you permission to shoot there. But of course, the easiest thing that you can do is to just shoot on property that you own. Whether your office, your warehouse, whatever, just do that. That's the easiest thing you can do. And again, a reminder, not legal advice, go check with your local laws and regulations. Question: what is the difference between offline and online editing? So first things first, it has nothing to do with the internet. Nothing to do with an internet connection at all. In fact, the terms offline and online editing come from way back, before the internet existed. It comes from the time where we were still shooting on tapes and on film, and in order to get the footage off the tapes and film, you had to go through a tape deck or a Telecine to get that digitized. And so back in those days, the dark days before the internet and all that, computers weren't very good. They weren't very fast and they couldn't work with high definition videos. So after everything got shot, all that footage would be digitized, turned into ones and zeros, into a lower resolution so that the editor can work on the files. So this stage, working on the low-res files, was called the offline stage. So at this stage, that's when the editor forms the story. He makes the assemblies, he makes the draft edits, He puts in graphics, music, sound, all that stuff, and he presents that to the client or director or whoever who needs to approve it. So when do we transition from the offline editing to an online editing stage? Well, one critical thing has to happen first, and that's called picture lock. So picture lock happens when the client or director or producer looks at the edit and says, "It is finished." And that is the picture lock. The picture is locked. No more revisions. So at that point, the assistant editor or the editor goes back to the big pile of tapes and film and gathers only the footage that was used in that picture lock edit and digitizes it again. But this time, they digitize it into a high definition. This stage, after this redigitizing into HD, is called the online editing stage. So at this stage, what happens is the picture's already locked, so the edit is done. So they call in all these other experts like your audio engineer, your colorist, your VFX artist and all of them. They come in and they add the finishing touches to this film. That is what online editing stage is about. So the audio engineer does the mix and the mastering, the colorist finalizes the look for the whole film, and the VFX artist does all the final work to get the VFX looking good. So everything goes to the online editor who puts everything together, all these different elements, and gets it ready for delivery. So that is the difference between offline and online editing. Again, no internet. Why can't I make changes after picture lock? The answer is you can. It will just cost you a lot more money. Now, why is that? When the edit gets to the point of picture lock, it means that the content is all locked in, the takes are locked in, the graphics, the music is all locked in, and it's ready to go into the final stage on the online process. So what happens there is you're gonna hire a lot of expensive experts to come in and work on your video. So they've started working on the picture lock edit. Any changes you make to that edit will have to go through them again. So that just basically means you just spend more on their time. That's why we don't advise it, but you can. It will just cost you a lot more. Question: what is color grading? So color grading is one of the final steps in the video production process. It happens in the online editing stage and is done by a colorist, not the kind that colors your hair, but the kind that colors film. And what he does is he makes a cohesive look and feel for the entire video. It makes it look like everything happened in the same world, so to speak. The role of the colorist is both technical and creative. The creative side is what we already talked about, creating a look and feel for the entire video by altering the colors and the contrast. The technical side comes in when they're fixing problems such as underexposure, overexposure, noisy footage. That all comes into the technical side of things. And on top of that, if your video is going to broadcast, you need to pass QC. And part of the QC component is the saturation levels and the luma levels, which need to be within legal limits. And that is another job that the colorist does. Question: why do I need to mix and master my audio? The sound in your video is arguably the most important part, as it tends to carry your message. So it's very important that you can be heard. Giving your audio a good mix ensures that your voice can be heard amongst all the other elements of a video, such as your music and sound effects. So what an audio engineer does is he will adjust the levels of the different sounds in your audio mix relative to each other to craft the viewer's audio experience of your video. They'll use things like EQ, which stands for equalization, panning, compressors, limiters, and other audio effects to sweeten the sound, making it more pleasant to listen to. Another thing that audio engineers have to be concerned about is loudness, which is typically measured in LUFS. So every platform, whether you're on TV or online, has a loudness standard that it wants the content creators to adhere to. On YouTube, for example, this loudness standard is -14 LUFS. If your video's loudness goes over the standard, YouTube will apply their own compression to your audio, which could muddy your mix and make things sound terrible. So, if you want your videos to sound as you intended, you have to meet the standard. And that is why mixing and mastering is so important. Question: if I want to shave off costs, what corners can I cut? Now this is a question for your video director, because they know best what is going into producing the video as a whole, and also all the minor details and considerations that go into making the production. Video production is a big tangled mess of interconnected things and people and departments and all that stuff, and your video director has to hold all of this in their head. So the best person you need to talk to if you want to cut some corners is your director, because they know everything. They have to know how everything is connected and how everything works. So talk to them if you need to shave off something. So they really would be the best person to consult if you need to shave off a little bit of the budget, as they know how everything is connected and thus know which exact corners can be trimmed and still make the whole project work as a whole. But keep in mind that they might not be able to. The budget may be as small as it can be for the director's vision, or perhaps your budget is too small for what you want to achieve. So there you have it. Many questions and many answers. I hope that I covered some of your burning questions about video production, but if I haven't, leave your questions down in the comments below and I'll get to them. If this video was helpful to you, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos on content marketing and video production. And remember, the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago, and the best time to start content marketing is yesterday. So start making content today.